Richard, what are you learning this offseason about your teams and about the car of tomorrow?
Do what now?
What are you learning this offseason about your teams?
We learned we got a lot of work to do, I guess.
And the car of tomorrow, specifically.
See, they've been to Daytona and tested. Kyle went down Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And the cars, it's the first time we've been to that kind of, we've been to Talladega, I guess, with the cars, but Talladega is not a handling racetrack. You just run wide open and go. Daytona, they have a little problem with the cars not driving quite as good as some of the drivers would like for them to handle. So, but then Bobby's going back this coming week, and then by the time everybody goes and everybody puts their notes together, by the time we go back in February, they'll have it down pretty pat. So it's going to be interesting. It looks like all the cars are pretty much running the same speed, which I guess is what NASCAR wants. So we'll find out what happens from there.
Richard, are you guys accepting the car tomorrow a little bit better now than you were maybe a year or so ago?
Do what now?
Are you accepting?
Oh, I accepted to begin with. I mean, you know, you got to figure, guys. I started this stuff in 1948, 58, 59. Every year we had a different car. And we didn't have wind tunnels. We didn't go test. We showed up at Daytona with a 1970, 60 Plymouth, and then in 70 we showed up with a 70 Plymouth, and then in 71 we showed up with another Plymouth, completely different body style. And so I just felt like, or I thought maybe that NASCAR stayed with the body and stuff that they had a little bit too long, because they need to make changes, because we need to keep expanding, okay? And as you expand, you got to get new fans, okay? And I didn't know that, you start looking at the old fans and say, hey, we've done seen this race. I mean, why should we go back to same cars? They look the same and the whole deal. So it's going to be interesting. A lot of people don't like it, but I looked at it as once they run 4 or 5 laps, I forget what the car looks like. I'm looking at the car as a number or a competitor and just go with it from there.
How do you compete with the dominance of Hendrick Motorsports? And do you feel like the series as a whole is more able to compete this year as opposed to last year?
From no matter what kind of car they're running, okay, then the dominant teams are going to be dominant for that particular day. It's just like football, okay? You got say Green Bay or the New York Yankees. They get on a big roll and then they keep going. They get new people. They go off and then they get new people and they come back on. So the predominant people are going to be predominant. I don't know how long. I mean, the Petty crowd used to be on top for a while. The Junior Johnson crowd was on. The Woods brothers, or who most of the teams. Earnhart would have a year, 2 or 3 good years, and then a couple of bad years. And you feel like you're doing the same thing. It's just that's just life. That's just the way things work. So right now, seems like that the Hendricks deal is on top of the world. But who can tell that Joe Gibbs' crowd? They got a new Toyota. They got a whole new team deals, new drivers, whole deal. They're liable to be the predominant deal. But a couple 3 years ago, everybody was worried about Roush because they was winning all the races and the championships. So it goes and comes.
Richard, when you talk about the top teams in the sport, take yourself for example. From year to year, what one area is it that you have to make the most progress to catch up each year?
Organization. Okay. People makes it all work, and the deal is keeping the right people in the right place. And you watch football or baseball or whatever, somebody's got a real predominant team, then the first thing you know, they lose 2 or 3 players and they're not that dominant anymore. Or you got a team that's just doing halfway and they add 2 or 3 players, and the first thing you know, they're dominant. So it's just getting the personnel together at the right time under the right circumstances.
With Daytona coming up next month, what's the one biggest difference you would say from racing at Daytona now versus say 25 years ago?
The deal racing at Daytona now, we just run open carburetor deals, run 200 mile an hour. Very few drivers were capable of running that more than 2 or 3 laps. Very few cars were capable of handling that. Now they got all the cars slowed down to 180, 85 mile an hour. All of them handle decent enough that they all run that same speed. So you don't get the separation from the good drivers or the good cars that you used to get. So that's the reason when you see them run Daytona or Talladega, they got, 20 or 30 cars in a pack. Okay, and there's nothing they can do about it under the existing rules. The only way they're gonna ever overcome that is just turn everybody loose and let them run 210 mile an hour or something like that. And very few of them guys has got the talent or the car that handles good enough to run that over a period of time.
But as far as the driver is concerned.
Sorry?
As far as the driver is concerned, what he's, obviously, with the restrictor on now, but I'm saying as far as the driver, what he's gotta do at Daytona, what's the biggest difference?
What's he saying?
No, I'm saying, as far as the driver himself is concerned, with the restrictor on now, what's the biggest difference in what the driver's got, his key to winning?
Oh, from driving with a restrictor and
Right,
without one,
right,
okay.
right.
The deal is that with the restrictor plates, if you understand in a combustion engine, it breathes in X amount of air, okay? All right. Most of the engines don't get enough air, okay, with unrestricted. So when you get into a draft, you get a little bit more air, it relieves that engine. All right, with a restrictor plate, it doesn't make any difference if that thing's falling out of an airplane. It's just going so much air go through that carburetor, so you don't get the drafting effect because the cars don't pick up 10 or 12 mile an hour. They'll just pick up 4 or 5 mile an hour, okay? So the driver then gets frustrated because he's sitting here running wide open, and he gets a draft, he goes by everybody, he's still running wide open, and they go by him by both sides, and he's still running wide open. So it's very frustrating to drive with a restrictor plate operation, and you have to be in the right place and right circumstances at the end of the race to be able to do anything. Of course, you have to do that anytime, don't get me wrong, but it's just it's a different driving mentality because the draft works different.
All right, thanks so much.
That's all we have time for.
All right,
I'm
guys.
sorry. Here we
Thank
go.
you all. We appreciate